Hey folks, it's Red Guy here, how you doing? Welcome back to Boulder Canyon here in Farming Simulator 19. I'm just getting this bad boy hitched on right here, right where we left off last time. And we're going to go and load a few of the bits of timber over there. Once we've done that, we also want to clear away some of the stumps so that we can make our little water area absolutely perfect for the sheep that we want to put in there. And I mean, I was actually thinking maybe I should just do a little bit more chainsaw work this evening and then shift timber in the morning. And the more I think about this, the better the idea seems. So I can't actually check to see whether the sheep will fit at the moment. What I do need to do is just pop that back to dollars because I was recording the time lapse. So I'm going to stop that one. And the sheep should fit in this area here, but what I'll do is if I cut down another couple of trees over here, look, just to create a little bit more room, I'm going to want to clear stumps away, and I'm going to want to also go and get started on some ploughing and stuff like that, but we'll start doing ploughing and cultivating in the morning. So we've got the timber here, which is at least going to allow us to make a start on it, and we're going to be able to do a few bits and pieces with it. As far as seed goes, we've got two choices. We can either do the long trip from here to the store and get pallets and bring them all the way back over here, and, you know, go back and forth. And to be honest, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to mess around with that. I'd rather... And also, I honestly think that's a less realistic option. If you're sort of stuck up in the middle of nowhere, you'd have larger supplies of things coming in. And you would arrange to have it brought in as well. You'd arrange to sort of pay for the stuff to be brought in. So let's just bring that one there. So I would say that it would actually be slightly more realistic if we were to have the placeables down, so that we can just fill from the tanks. Fill anything that we want direct from the tanks, and then we haven't got to mess around with going and getting the stuff from the store. It's just going to be, it's going to make our lives a little bit easier for gameplay purposes. And I would also say buying in bulk, fertilizer and stuff like that, buying in large bulk rather than a few bits at a time would almost definitely be a more realistic approach to a farm that is a bit more remote. You obviously, prices for, you know, things like fertilizer, seed, stuff like that, it's going to be more expensive. If you're living sort of in the middle of nowhere, it's definitely going to be more expensive, and you may not even be able to find someone that would be willing to sell you just a few tons at a time, right? So buying a whole lorry load all at once, you know, by having a big store there, that does make more sense. Now, we can't actually go and buy a lorry load at once, so what we've got to do in order to simulate that is we've just got to put the placeable down and then buy the seed and fertilizer as and when we need it. And I'm quite happy with that. I think that idea could work very well for us. Let's just run all the way along this one here, like this. There we go. Right, that's that bit cleaned off. Go to there. Like that. And to there. Like that. And then we've got halfway along about there. Right. There's another tree down. Another tree cut up. We're going to want our, what do you call, our stump grinder to come up in here and do a bit of work. And... well, we're going to want the stump grinder going over there, but I'm wondering about creating a field down the bottom first, and then doing the stump grinding after. Maybe sort of separating the two out a little bit. I'm thinking we'll leave these two trees here, so we've got like a little bit extra. I will chop that one down, we'll fell that one, we'll try and make him fall the other way. Tell him over that way. That's taking us until 6:45. You know what? I think we'll load a tree up now. We'll load a tree. We'll load up one trailer, even if we don't go and sell it tonight. And we've got to remember, we've got to put the speed up to 30 times whilst we are loading. So I've just got to remember to do that while I'm loading. 30 times speed. I've been forgetting to do that so many times now that this is going to come as a complete and total shock to everybody involved that I'm actually going to remember. But I am able to do that every now and then. I nearly forgot my weekly question. So I asked you all previously, and you said you wanted me to get one lot of... let me go to there. One large pen of each type of animal for to complete this map. So that would be like the final result on the map. In order to complete it, we need one large pen of each type of animal. But a lot of people were talking about possibly not having that, and right, I don't know what side we're loading on, so we'll just put the auto load on a minute. Like that. And we will speed up time to 30 times. So my question is, do you want me to just have one large pen of each type of animal, or do you want me to instead have one large pen of cows, one large pen of pigs, but to have two large pens each of sheep and chickens? So you can have one large pen of each, or we can go for 2 pens of chickens and 2 pens of sheep, and still 1 pen each of cows and pigs, because cows and pigs is a lot more work than the sheep and the chickens. So it's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Right, our load is coming along quite nicely. We've got some quite long logs here. I had to stop and cough and splutter for a minute. This cold is really starting to irritate me. I should be really glad to see the back of it. Hopefully next week will be a lot better. Right, so back to 30 times and we can carry on. And keep picking these up. See, I've got some quite short logs here. I would very much like to get a Ponzi Scorpion. Several people have said I really need to get a Ponzi Scorpion, and yes, I agree. It would be good to get a Ponzi Scorpion. But you do realize that those things cost $350,000, right? I did have a few people suggest I should be leasing a Ponzi Scorpion because it would be faster. I'm gonna suggest here, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that those people who are suggesting I should lease a Ponzi Scorpion are perhaps not quite up to date with the whole premise of this series, right? The whole idea of this series is that we don't lease anything. This is a super hardcore series. We're not allowed to lease anything. Right, so we've got that all loaded up, and it is 10 to 8. We have to stop work at 8 o'clock, so we may as well stop now, and we'll go and sleep through the night until 7 a.m. So we'll go over to here, and we will skip the night right there. So we want to go 11 hours like that. Sleep, that will take us through until just before 7 a.m. We'll lose loan interest. The vehicle leasing, that's obviously not vehicle leasing. That is the cost of the forklift over at the what do you call, over at the shop. And then various running costs and things like that. So we will, let's just skip that forward so it goes to 6. We can start work until 7, remember? There we go, right. So now we can go back down to 5 times. So we've loaded up the trailer. That's now fully loaded. It took us probably about an hour and a half to load the trailer. And we want to take this one up. I reckon we've got another load lying on the ground here. We can't drive through that water source because we're just going to end up getting stuck. So what we're going to have to do is... Can we weave through the... I don't think we can weave through those trees. We can have a go. Might be an idea not to actually try and weave through the trees, but to try and do something a bit different. I'm going to turn some lights on a little bit. Not loads. Try and go up this way a little bit. No, actually, I think we will get through some of these trees. We'll be alright. We'll drag our way out of here. There, like that. And then out round this way. So yeah, upgrading the tractor is probably going to be a priority for us at the moment. We want to go and get a cultivator. And the great thing is we can get a cultivator and we can bring that back, and we can also bring back a seed drill. Now, the seed drill is not going to be particularly big. We'll only get a small seed drill. We don't need anything bigger. So we can cultivate up the lower half of this field here, and we can have sort of a flat bit down here. And then we can worry about making another field, a separate field, up there. So that we can run that as two separate fields. I think that would be a better way of doing it, especially once we're able to expand and start doing some crops and that. And it will also give us some stages that we can work in. So we've got one bit there that's grass, that's done. It's easily dealt with. So we want a seed drill and we want a cultivator, which we'll be using as kind of like a chisel plow approach. And what else are we going to want? Seed drill, cultivator, fertilizer spreader. That's it, actually. That's all we're going to want to start with, is the seed drill and the cultivator. Because we don't actually need a plow now. We can use the cultivator and use that like the chisel plow. Right, let's sell that lot. $19,354. If I put that up onto there, we've got one more piece that we can sell. There, another $900 for that one. That's pretty good, actually. That's a pretty good return. That's over 20,000 that we had for that first one. So we've easily got enough now for the cultivator and the seed drill. Right, I'm hoping we have. So we can afford those two. Getting the sheep, though, that's still something that we can't afford yet. We're going to want a fertilizer spreader. We're going to... Lime, it doesn't matter. Weeds as well, that doesn't matter. So we only want a seed tank here at the farm and a fertilizer tank here at the farm. Unfortunately, I think those are like 8,000 a piece, aren't they? Have a look in here. Yes, seed tank and fertilizer tank. It's going to be 16,000 for those two. I would like a fuel tank as well. That would be really good, but that's down the list. It's definitely down the list of things that we need, because what we can do to start with is we can go here to miscellaneous and we can get that one, which is not far off what the fuel tank is, and bring it back. I think the other one is that. Do we buy fuel direct from it? Save the long way to the next fuel station. It says 5,000 litres, so I'm not sure. I don't know if that one, if you've got to go and buy the fuel to put in it, or if it buys it automatically. It could go either way. I think we'll put one of the seeds out on this corner over here, like the seed or the fertilizer out. Actually, no, we could put them both there. We may have room to put them both there. The problem is the triggers. The triggers for those are a little bit picky, and it can be a bit of a nuisance trying to get them set just right. So we'll hopefully be able to do it, but it can sometimes be a bit of a nuisance. Right, we want to come in here. As soon as we've got these removed, we'll be able to... So we start loading again. Once we've got these tree stumps, we'll be able to finish just digging out the pond there properly. Now that we've sort of found a spring, we need to dig the little hole for the spring to work. Oh, hang on. Right, I'll tell you what, I need to drink again, so I'll leave the 30 times on as penalty for not having it to start with. Hopefully, that'll see me alright. And we'll come on round here. Pick up these couple of trees down here. So you've got to drive slowly. You can't just like race through, because otherwise the logs they materialize in the air above the trailer, and if you're going too fast, they end up just dropping off the back of the trailer, which you really don't want. There's absolutely no good to you at all. So we just keep creeping along like this, nice and steady like. You don't want it too fast. There we go. Right, so it looks like we're going to get at least 3 loads out of here. That's pretty good going, actually. And if the 3 loads are anything like that first one that we took in... Ooh, that's a big log there. That's a huge one. Right, if they're anything like the first load that we took in, 3 loads... Actually, it might be more than 3 here. We could end up being able to afford our sheep without having to cut too many more trees down, you know. That would be pretty cool. Right, if I can just get that one branch. There we go, we got that one. That's what I wanted, so I'll switch that one off. Straps on, and on we go. I think that we're going to have a bit more than one more load, so now I can slow that down, back down to 5 times. So it's 8:15 now. It's just taking us, what, costing us about an hour to load the load on 5 times speed. I'd say that's reasonably accurate, I think. You know, once you start sort of messing around with the logs and you get your eye in a little bit, I suppose with the tractor and the smaller logs, maybe it would take a little bit longer than that, but I'm happy with that. I'm reasonably happy with that as an appropriate amount of time that it seems to be roughly costing us to load a load. Seems to be pretty good. Run this one up. So yeah, if we've got enough money to buy the sheep pen, I'm still not going to buy the sheep pen. Main reason is I'm going to get the cultivator, the seed drill, the fertilizer spinner, and the tanks, and get those back to the farm first. And when we get the fertilizer spinner and we go and collect that one, we can also take our forklift. What's that? We can also take our front loader, and we can bring back a couple of the wool pallets ready for our sheep, which would be pretty good. Right, 15,000 for that one. I think we will have enough to buy the sheep, even though we are actually going to. We're going to bring back 2 of the reusable pallets. Now, I said I didn't know if those were kind of realistic. You know, maybe the guy would be unloading them, something like that. It was pointed out in comments last week that actually it would be quite realistic, because this happens in real life. You don't buy the pallet, right? We would pay $250 or $350 for the pallet, whatever it is. But you don't actually own it. What that price is leasing the pallet. And I should have thought of this, because this is something that used to happen in the factory that I worked in. It happens all over the UK. You've got these blue pallets, and they're known as Chepstow pallets. These blue pallets, because the sort of the main place they come from is this place called Chepstow. And these blue pallets are everywhere, all over the UK. They're used all over. The Chepstow pallets, and you don't own Chepstow pallets, right? It's not something that you own. You lease them. You pay a small amount of money, and you lease these pallets. And these pallets are then sent out to you, and you get to use them for loading your goods onto them, and you have to pay a small cost for them. So you're not buying the pallets, but they're used all over by big companies up and down the country. And then there's another company, I think, that does the Euro size pallets. Those are a little bit longer. Actually, I don't know if they are longer, but they're narrower. They're narrower pallets, and so they load onto the load slightly differently. They're also used quite a lot in some stores where they're just placed straight as they are into the shop and on the narrow front, so it doesn't take up very much space when it's actually in the shop. It doesn't take up that much shelf space, but you don't have to unload the pallet. It's quite handy, actually, and quite a few different shops do use them. But yeah, the blue Chepstow pallets, and so all you're doing is you're leasing the pallet. You're being allowed to use the pallet, you're leasing it. Right, we will stop there. So we've got at least another load by the look of it. That's pretty good, actually. We might be able to buy the sheep and everything else that we want. I'm going to be quite pleased. No, I don't think we won't be able to buy everything else, because the 16,000 for the 2 tanks, that's going to push the price up a bit. But yeah, so having these wool pallets, we don't own them, but we're leasing them, and then you have it on an exchange system. The merchant brings an empty pallet up, and he leaves the empty pallet behind, and you provide the full pallet, and that goes up. That goes out. So we spent $350 on the pallets originally, and that's just kind of our deposit. It buys into this scheme, and then we are constantly able to cycle through these pallets. So we provide a full one, it gets emptied out, It may look like our pallet is being emptied out, but in reality it's not. What's happening is the merchant is taking away the full pallet and he's leaving a different empty one behind. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's very realistic. It's something that happens all around the world for things to do with pallets. I didn't actually put that on 30 times speed for this third load, did I? When I was loading, I completely forgot to put that on, so I will do it now. I will leave it on 30 times speed while we unload and we go back and we get the next one. That should be roughly the same amount of time. I remembered it for 2 of them. I actually remembered it for 2 of these loads, which I think is making some considerable progress, considering that I've not really remembered at all before. I went a whole week and I didn't remember once, so I do think I'm making progress. So we'll put that one there, and then I will unload that. There we go. So we've got another $19,600 there. Takes us up to $55,590. The sheep pen itself is $65,000. Yes, I'm going to stick with... I know that, you know, sheep is the next thing that we want to do, but getting the... I said that it's going to be the next thing that we want to do, but getting the field ploughed up, that is also an acceptable course of action before we get the sheep. I mean, we've got... Although... If we have the sheep, see, this is what I was talking about before. We have the sheep there. We can go and get a bale of grass. We do need to bring back a water tanker for them. We'll see how much money we've got, because we can't do everything. We are going to need to get a few more bits of. We are going to need to cut down a few more trees just to be able to finish this job off properly. We are going to have to do a few more, but we've got most of it now. Definitely got most of it. Right, we'll bring you on round there, and I can switch those lights off. Right along the edge there. Switch that on, like that. Now, I'm hoping it's going to load. Yep. There we go. Right, that's got the bits of timber that are nearest to the pond. It's the ones that I mostly wanted to get out of the way. There. And we come on round here, and then I'll remember to switch it off at 30 times speed once we have loaded all of this. Are we going to get all of this? I don't think we're even going to get all of this onto one load. I think even this lot here is not going to make another load. It's not going to all fit onto another load. I don't know. Well, actually, it might. It looks like we've got a lot of treetops here, so it may make a difference. It's got a lot of thin branches here. The only downside to this one is that it always puts the timber facing the same direction, so you always get the small bits out the back and the bigger bits at the front. So if you've got a lot of tree tops, you do have a very sort of wonky load. It doesn't alternate or anything like that. And yes, it is kind of good that it does that, because otherwise you'd end up with a rather unbalanced load, I think. I don't think it would work very well. Not in the long run. And right, we'll bring that back round. Yes, I do think we will get all of these on. We're going to get another 20,000. That means, well, we're not going to want, if we can get another 20,000, that's fine, but we're not going to have any money for buying sheep, and I don't think we're going to fit all of these on. Alright, it's going to be a little bit excessive towing this load. Look at that. This load is a little bit excessive now. We can do it. We can definitely do it, because we've only got one more branch to go there. And we know this tractor now is a very, very strong and sturdy tractor. So, there we go. Right, load the last one up. Let's stop. We'll do this. We'll do this all in one go. One load. Let's not get bogged down here next to it. This is what's going to happen. We're going to get bogged down in the spring. That's going to be the final insult. No, we're going to be alright. We're going to be fine. But we've got to try and get this one up the hill. And this is very overloaded. This is very extremely overloaded. I've got one small branch off to the side on the other side of the road there. That one can stay there. I know what we'll do. We'll get this up there. We'll get this sold. And we'll at least get the sheep. We'll look at the sheep pen. We're going to have to clear tree stumps before we can get the sheep pen. I'm liking the idea of getting the sheep pen, but we would still have to get a water bowser, and then we'd have to pay for sheep. And I don't know if we'll have the money to buy the water bowser and pay for sheep. So it still might be the better option to go and get the cultivator first. Do the cultivating, plough up the fields, get that one planted with grass, so that we can then do... Look, this is the bit that it was going to struggle with. We knew it was going to struggle with this. There he goes. There's our next load coming in. Still looks impressive coming in there. Definitely looks impressive. Right. Bring you in round. And... yeah, so we get that next one done, because that means that we'll get a much higher yield for our grass for the next time round. And that then is, you know, that's more profit, isn't it? It's a lot more profit than we've gotten this time round. Right, we've easily got 20 grand here, haven't we? Okay. Small branches. Remember that. We had small branches there. So, 17,797. Let's undo that. And those through 1,655. 17,7, 18, 9. So about 19,500. Right. So, just going to switch you off a minute, and we'll go to our PDA. And we'll link into here. We may be in the middle of nowhere. Excuse me, but we still have working PDAs. Okay, now. Bring that over there. We've loads of room. We've got absolutely... Yes, we're going to have to clear the stumps and stuff away. That's fine. I don't care about that. I don't care about that in the slightest. So what we're going to want to do is... I would say we're actually going to want that one... Spin it round... If we put it like that, we can put it fairly close to the barn as well. And the sheep buy trigger is the one nearest the barn. That, again, that works nicely. And then the water and the feed are both out on this side, which is good. And then the wool is also out on this side. So if we have it like this, that's probably the best location to put it, is like that. That's only going to leave us with 10,000. So we want to just have a quick look at animal stuff. So we've got under, it's not under miscellaneous, it's under animals in here. That one's 9,500 for that water tank there. It should be oh, I was going to say, that one's 25,000. That one can take water as well, but it's 25 grand. That one's 8,500. That might be a better option then. Instead of the standard, that's 7,300. This one here is 8,000 litres. And 1,000 cheaper as well. So that would leave us $1,500. Because we've got to have one of these. We've got to have a water tanker of some kind. We cannot do it without a water tanker. So that would leave us with a little bit. Then we would want to come over to their pallets. Like that. Wool pallet reusable, $250. Extra large, 10,000. It's $350 for one of those. I want two of them, so there's another 700. So we can do that to start with, and we can get that in, and then we could get a couple of sheep as well. You know what? I think we might do that. I think we might, but we haven't got time to do that today. We need to head back. We've got the trees out of the way. We've sold what we need to sell. I've still got that ticking away too fast. Right, there we go. It's 1 o'clock now. Crumbs. Yeah, I shouldn't have left that ticking away. It's fine. I forgot, so we had a little bit of a penalty. So we've got enough money to get a couple of items there. We may even have enough money to get a couple of sheep as well. We're not going to get a lot of sheep, not for the money that we've got at the moment, which means, I suppose in theory, we ought to think about cutting down some more trees. We get the sheep bought first. We get the sheep pen installed. We go over to the dealership, and we will get the water tanker, and we will bring back the pallets. And then once we've done that, then we can have a look at doing some of the other stuff. Let's bring you on round this way. That's right. Stop that one there. And unhitch. Right. Now I want to get that bio belts on the back. I should be so glad to see the end of this cold. I really will. It's really, really bugging me this week. I'm at the stage where I get the really irritable cough, which, while I'm trying to talk for a living, is it's not very good. It really isn't. So my weekly question for this week is, do you still want me to get just one large pen of animals of each type, excluding horses? So it would be one large pen of cows, one large pen of pigs, one large chickens, and one large sheep. Or would you rather instead I went and got myself one each of the cows and the pigs still, but get two each of the chickens and the sheep? I will just say that's the completion requirements. That's something that we have to do in order to finish this map. But that's not to say that we don't, you know, we're not allowed to get more. You know, if we decide that actually, you know what, these sheep are really good and they're really profitable, we can get 6 large pens of sheep all lined up, producing wool like nobody's business, and keep selling that to the merchants, right? We are allowed to do that. There's nothing to stop us from doing that. So long as we can keep feeding those sheep, and we can do so in a realistic fashion, which is not, I might add. I mean, yes, if we've got the grass there, we can go and cut fresh grass and put them in, but I won't be making lots of grass bales and just leaving them and putting them in. If we're going to be storing bales, we will be storing them as hay or as silage, right? We won't be storing fresh grass bales, even though the game technically does allow us to. It's not a realistic thing, so it's not something that we're going to be doing in this series. So, yeah. So, I mean, if we could decide to do that, but what I'm asking you about is the completion requirements on the map. Do you still want me to just do one of each pen, or do you think I should be getting one large each for the pigs and cows, but go for 2 large pens of chickens and 2 large pens of sheep? It's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. And we've run out of time for today's episode, so if you've enjoyed the episode, then please hit down below and give us a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me, get them to go and watch as well, that would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar, goodbye, and see you later.